Hey, Merry Christmas. I can't believe we need a video to explain what should be a core gameplay mechanic to people who have been playing the game for a year or more, but it looks like that's what we're doing. So imagine I've got a claymore. When I hit a small enemy with a claymore, it causes a mini stun, or a stagger, or an interrupt, or whatever you want to call it. And it interrupts what the enemy's doing and prevents you from trading. So this is not the same as building up the posture bar underneath the enemy's health bar. That's a big stun. This is something different. I'm going to call the small stun, which happens on every one of these hits, flinch, for the sake of giving it a name. And flinch has been in the game in some form since Wicked was first playable, but flinch doesn't happen on every hit. So if you watch this guy, you'll see the Claymore normal attack isn't enough to flinch him on one hit. But his attack animation doesn't get interrupted, and he carries on with the swing. But what's new to the experimental build is this new flinch build-up mechanic, which is shown by the bar above enemy health. It's a new bar. You have to enable Poise bars to get it to show up. Now, if you watch the small bar above their health bar, you'll see that when the Claymore fails to flinch, it instead partially builds up this little bar, and that shows how close you are to causing a flinch. If you fill the bar completely, you'll still interrupt the enemy. Here you'll also see that the charged attack on Claymore can flinch this guy in one hit anyway, because charging deals more poise damage. But because of the new build-up mechanic, it's also possible to interrupt enemies with multiple weaker normal hits, as long as you hit enough times to fill the bar up. So here I've got a curved sword, which is a weapon that deals less poise damage than the Claymore. And you can see I can't interrupt this fatty even with the charged attacks on this weapon. But if I've already landed one hit, which means the flinch bar is partially filled up, then I can land another hit before it decays, and that will cause a flinch even with the smaller weapon. And that will interrupt the enemy attack and knock them out of the animation. There are some special animations in the game which disable all the flinch mechanics and you can't use them, but they aren't very common, you'll probably notice them. And here you'll also see a full big stun caused by filling the poise bar below the health bar. That's a different kind of stagger. This is the one which triggers all the affixes, and it plays a funny sound, so you know it's something else. So this concept of building up poise damage and triggering a flinch when enough has been dealt is basically the same as Dark Souls 1 Poise, and while I hate Dark Souls 1 Poise, it's not an awful system if you assume that they want to have attacks which don't cause hit stun in one hit, but can interrupt enemies after multiple hits. The problem with flinch in this game right now comes from the numbers involved, and that's why I'm trying to get people to talk about it, because the poise damage numbers for individual attacks are whack. They are absolute nanas, and they need a balancing pass on an attack-by-attack basis. So here are the numbers. If I hit a bear with a 10 poise damage dagger, it builds this much towards a flinch. If I hit the same bear with a 12 poise damage katana, it builds this much, so basically the same. If I hit a bear with a 22 poise damage two-hand greatsword, you might be expecting it to deal about double the poise damage or more, but no, it only deals this much. And if I tap a bear with a single uncharged arrow, that gives about the same amount again. So can you see the problem taking shape? It's almost like the poise damage modifier on weapons is only responsible for a tiny portion of the poise damage that you deal, and most of it must be coming from some big flat value which is the same on every hit. So what happens if you use a weapon which hits multiple times in a single swing, or a bow which fires 3 arrows at once? Well, you can see that this happens. So then the game breaks and every non-boss enemy in the game gets permanently stun-locked. This is happening with almost all of the weapons which hit multiple times per swing, as well as all of the bows which fire multiple arrows per shot. Something is wrong with the numbers. I honestly think a small humanoid enemy like this should be getting interrupted by a two-handed great axe swing. But if it's not going to be interrupted by a great axe, then it definitely shouldn't be getting interrupted by one bow shot. Similarly, I think it's reasonable for the weaker human enemies to be flinched by 2 dagger hits, but it doesn't seem reasonable for 2 dagger hits to be stun-locking these guys when they won't flinch even to a charged great axe. Because for whatever reason, charged attacks barely do any more damage than normal attacks under this system, while a claw stab which attacks 7 times, I guess deals 7 times the poise damage, and that's stupid. So can we acknowledge that something has gone wrong and do a pass on this stuff?
and fake IDs, and he will be late tonight. They don't kick out till 3:30, but he's found her once, so she drinks for free, but he won't get late tonight. Don't get your hopes up, son, but don't hide away. It's not like that I should stay. I never wanna see you fail. Don't get your hopes up, son, she might slide away. It's not like that I should stay. I never wanna see you fail. I don't wanna see you fail. You never got a chance to ask her name, but the expectations came the same, 'cause he's living that life like they told him to, on Disappointment Avenue. They don't kick out till 3:30, so he sits alone by the apple tree, and there'll be no change tonight. Don't get your hopes up, son, but don't hide away. It's not like that I should stay. I never wanna see you fail. Don't get your hopes up, son, she might slide away. It's not like that I should stay. I never wanna see you fail. I don't wanna see you fail. They say the apple don't fall far from the tree, so cash in hand and fake IDs, and he's gonna be late, gonna be late, gonna be late.